Hi, Matt with Etrailer. If you have a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee and you want something that's going to be pretty compact, but also have the ability to be adaptable, either be closer or further away from your vehicle, and you want something that might be able to get wheels added to it later on down the road, then the rucRak Recruit is going to be a great option. So let's check it out. And like I was saying, this is a compact carrier, so what's nice is it's going to save you room on the back of your vehicle, but it's also made of aluminum, so it's very lightweight to take on and off of your vehicle. And really, I think this is going to play more into if you are taking any type of shorter trips, especially if you plan on doing any type of camping or if you're going to the beach. You'll be able to put all those items back here, and if you do get the wheel attachment, you can actually take this off and then wheel this to your destination, so you don't have to constantly go back to your vehicle to grab what you need. Now, you can fit a lot in here, so coolers will fit very nicely in here, but something else you got to consider is going to be the height and how high you can stack this if you want to be able to open up your hatch too. So to really show you what I'm talking about is, I'll get that measurement now, and this is going to make contact right about 26 inches. So 26 inches will be great for most of your gear, but something to think about is what you're going to block on the back of your vehicle. And honestly, I'd say keeping it below 26 inches most of the time, even if you don't want hatch clearance, is going to serve you well, is because right at 26 inches, we're right about at our license plate and our backup camera. If we keep this more around, let's say 19 or 20 inches, we're going to sit right below that and we'll be able to see this more clearly. As for the weight capacity, this is going to be 200 pounds. So it might not be as much as some other carriers, but most of the time, your vehicle can't even handle that much weight anyways. So it's important just to double check what your vehicle is rated for and your hitch. Now, something else to think about is if you want to get the wheel attachment to this, and if you want to use this as a wagon, you probably wouldn't want to lug around 200 pounds behind you anyway, so really keeping it below 200 pounds is probably going to serve you in the long run. And as you can see, putting on the wheel attachment is pretty quick and easy. You can actually find this on our website if you want to go that route. Essentially, all this is using pins to mount it into place. So you don't have to reattach any bolts or screws. It doesn't take too long to get back and down. And then I'm going to grab my handle right over here too. Now I can put this on now, save it. I'll probably save it because we can actually detach this completely. I'm going to have two pins on the bottom, and that's going to release this mechanism here. I'm just going to push on that on either side, and since this is a pretty lightweight carrier, I can just lift up on it, set it to the side here, and then use this handle now. And then I can take my stuff around and go wherever I need to. And putting it back into place isn't too bad either. I'm just going to lift up. We're going to have plenty of spots to really grip to. And what's nice about those spots too is they make for great tie-off points when you're securing your gear down. I'm just going to line up those bolts with those holes. And if I move this tire out of my way, you can kind of see what's happening over here. We want to make sure we latch this back down. So I'm just going to pull on it. Usually you'll hear a click. You're going to have one of those on both sides. And then you're going to have a pin that goes through that same opening. Now, sometimes you might have to wiggle this to get everything lined up correctly. Then we have it. Now, when you're driving around, I actually recommend positioning your tires in a different spot. The reason being is because we're a lot closer to the ground like this. And if we want to get maximum clearance, I'm just going to flip this around, put it just like this. This is also great because we have a plate on the back side of here, so it doesn't wiggle as much. I'm just going to make sure I get that other clip to secure the bottom of it. Now for the back side, instead of going 180 degrees, we're more so going to just go 90 degrees. And on the other side, we're just going to pull two pins back here. That'll let us release this rear axle, and we can turn it like that, 90 degrees. Just make sure you re-pin that in. Again, you might have to wiggle these. Sometimes these pins can be a little bit tricky to line up. And with this secured, we can get a couple measurements on how this is going to sit on the back of your vehicle. Now the first measurement I'm going to get is going to be our rear distance from the ground. So the closest point to the ground, just from the carrier, is going to be 16 inches. That's plenty of room. Now if we went from the tire in this position, that's going to be 11 inches. Now most of the time you're probably still going to be good, because even if this is going to drop maybe by an inch or two, you should still have that clearance. Now for the distance away from your back bumper, this is going to sit just about 28 inches from the carrier itself. And with that handle on the back of it, that's going to be about 30 inches. So that's not too bad. It should fit through most situations. But we can save more space if we just put this into the folded position. Now all you're going to need is just 2 hand knobs that come with your kit. And to do this, I'm going to detach those 2 pins on the back side. I'm just going to let that kind of swing some. And I'm going to lift up on this. I'm going to fold in. And now with those 2 hand knobs, they're going to have a threaded side. And that's going to go through this opening right here. You push that through, it'll connect to the back side. You thread that on, make sure everything's secured. Do that on the other side too. And what I also recommend to make sure this is extra sturdy is we put those pins back through the very top. So the ones up here, I'm going to make sure I reinsert those just so this is a little more stable. It kind of gives me more peace of mind too. But in this position, we can kind of see how far we're going to sit away from our vehicle from our back bumper. And right now, we are only going to be at just around 17 inches. So that's going to save you a lot of space. And like I said earlier, you can actually make this closer or further away from your vehicle. Right now we have in the furthest spot, and there's going to be 5 positions. All of them are going to be in 1-inch increments from each other because we're going to have 5 different pinholes. So if you were to put this in the closest position, that'd be 5 more inches closer to your vehicle. Instead of making this 17 inches away from your vehicle, it's going to make it 12 inches. Now I like keeping it in this position because it's going to give us more clearance. And what I mean by that is if I open up my rear hatch, you notice I have plenty of space now. I could probably bring this in maybe by an inch or 2 and still have plenty of clearance, but this just kind of gives me more peace of mind. And as far as what it's going to block on the back of your vehicle, it's not going to block too much. Really, you might get a little bit of interference with your backup camera. You will have this hole here. This is designed so your license plate shows through, but as you can see, ours sits right below a license plate, so we're still good. And it's not going to block your taillights or your back window. And the way this is going to install is we're going to have this 2-inch shank that goes into your 2-inch hitch receiver. You notice we do have this collar right here, and that's going to be an anti-rattle collar, so it doesn't rattle around in your receiver. Now you'll notice we do have a pin that's going through here. Your kit will not come with a pin, so you have to buy one separately if you don't already own one. And you can find one of those on our website. In my opinion, I think this is a solid choice, especially when you pair it up with the wheel kit. Now this is going to be pretty unique when you compare it to other options around, since there's not too many carriers that are adaptable or you can add on to them. And I really haven't seen any carriers where you can put a wheel kit on it too. And really this is kind of put in more of that middle ground area where it's not super premium, but it's not economic either. It's truly a unique item we have. But if I were to compare it to another option we have around, I'd probably compare it to the aluminum hitch cargo carrier by Flint Hill Goods. Reason being is it's going to be another lightweight, compact cargo carrier, but it just won't have any of those premium features that we see here. So if you're really just trying to get your gear from point A to point B, that might be the better choice for you. But if you also want to load your gear up so you're not constantly going back to your vehicle to grab your stuff, then I think this is going to be the better option. But either way you go, I think they're good choices. But again, that was just a look at the rucRak Recruit cargo carrier on the back of our 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.